At 20 minutes past 9 a.m., we continue with the show this morning on News and Views. And this morning, we're joined by Fiona Brooke-Leggatt, the chairperson of the Private Charter Passenger Association, and also by Mohsin Moolla, the managing director of Eldo Coaches. And this comes against the background of requests being made to the government to treat the Private Charter Passenger Association in the same way as others in the transport industry, such as the taxi industry. Fiona, good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Morning, and thanks to yourself and to the listeners for contacting ourselves with regard to this pressing issue.
Right. Yes, and also we joined on the line by Mohsin Moolla, the managing director of Eldo Coaches. Mohsin, assalamu alaikum and welcome.
Walaikum salam, and thanks for hosting us.
Yes, it's wonderful that both of you could join us this morning on Salam Media on News and Views. Now, Fiona, just to begin with the Private Charter Passenger Association, and clearly there are concerns because looking at the government and the way it has treated the taxi industry and others, and from a private transport perspective, what you're saying is the government has not given you the same treatment, and many vehicles have been standing empty since the lockdown began in March 2020.
Right, Mr. Wadee. Basically, we started engaging and we formed the association as per my last interview with yourselves close on 7 months ago. We have members throughout the country and representatives in East Province, and we have been using a tried to engage the government diplomatically for the past 7 months. In fairness to the government, this last 2 months ago, I was granted an interview by Mr. Alec Mariani, which is the Director General of Transport, the Minister's Deputy General, and he engaged with myself in a live Zoom or virtual meeting just on a month ago, and I expressed to him our concerns with regards to, helping the private industry with basically what we've paid towards the government, and they have taken, and we have not, obviously, as private charter members with tourism and charter permits, been able to utilize our vehicles. And as a result, we paid the government just on 52,000 Rand a coach. And all we basically wanting them to assist ourselves with is extending our validation of our license so that when we get back on the road, of which, who will know when it will be. But at the moment, with the international market and the conference market, it appears only to be next year, March, if we're lucky, and that will be determined by when the government gives the international market the go-ahead to open our borders again. So basically what we're wanting from the government is, we understand that there are a lot of the municipalities and licensing departments are bankrupt. We understand that. We understand that they cannot assist every bus operator in the country. We understand that. But they did engage with me and said it shouldn't be an issue to assist ourselves in keeping us alive and getting our vehicles back on the road by just merely extending our license validity. Now, our issue there is, just quickly, is most of the general public are unaware of the fact that we sit with a situation that, most people are saying, well, what are we fighting about? Because Mr. Moolla granted the people whose licenses expired during March and August an additional 6 months. But
Yes, I think we have lost Fiona there for a minute. I think possibly a signal. But Mohsin, just coming into this discussion and looking at Eldo Coaches and looking at your industry in particular, how badly have you been hit as a result of the lockdown, and particularly in terms of the government and its reaction to what they've done for the taxi industry, for instance? What sort of impact has this had on you?
Sorry, sir, I lost comms there for a second.
Sorry, Fiona. I just like Mohsin to basically come into the discussion.
Yes, 100%.
So, not only Eldo Coaches is affected, Inayet, in terms of, for us, in our Eldo Coaches business, we have 3 sectors. One being our charter sector, which is what majority of our members on the PCPA are in that field as well. The second part is our tourism sector, which we do international tourists, and on our long distance side is where we do our interprovincial travel. So we've been affected as Eldo coaches as a whole. We've been affected on all three of our sectors, mainly because churches, schools are not allowed to undertake any, or were not allowed to undertake any trips prior to us coming now into level 1. But also there's restrictions in place, so that on the international market, as Fiona explained, we're only hoping to see good numbers. We as the tourism side say we expect numbers to start coming in around February, March if we're lucky. And on the long distance side, surely with now us being allowed to go to level 1, we are allowed to now at least commute people between provinces without them having to have those the permits, etc., which were required prior to level 1. However, as an industry on the whole, we've been brought to our knees. And when we say that as an organization, we're saying government really didn't think out the box when it came to the different sectors of the industry in terms of passenger transport or tourism. You've got operators in our association that not are standing from the time we went into lockdown, which is the 26th of March, but have already been affected for about a month or two prior to that. Remember, once COVID, the stats started rising in South Africa, the first thing government did is they banned outings, they banned excursions, they banned gatherings of more than 100 people. So with that coming into place, a lot of operators that rely on school groups, that rely on church groups, all of that was brought to a standstill. So our members are literally at the moment on the verge of bankruptcy, purely because they've been standing for the last 7 to 8 months. There's no income coming into them, except for them getting a bit of a reprieve from the banks in terms of the repayments on the vehicles. But as you know, there's certain fixed costs that need to be paid. For example, insurance. In a country like South Africa, you cannot afford not to have insurance because you'll get a disgruntled driver or a disgruntled member of the community that might come to your depot and throw a matchstick and you lose your fleet. So your insurance has to be in place. Your rentals, if you're renting a depot, has to be in place. And there's just certain fixed costs that are there that each member has to fork out of their savings or dig deep somewhere to get that money. And that's where we're fighting is government say that they've got no money, yet government has the opportunity to release 1.3 odd billion rand to the taxi association. And from an organization point of view, we're asking is that, okay, at this moment in time, the funds are not available because of government need to go back to treasury, etc. And what we're asking is, just to make your listeners aware, passenger transport, more so on buses, is not the same as your trucks or your taxis. We pay licenses for 12 months, but we renew our roadworthy every 6 months. So we literally are paying 6 months advance, which we don't see. We are advancing the government with 6 months. So every 6 months we renew our roadworthy, which is a disc which appears with our licenses on our vehicles, and that is prepaid by 6 months. So all we're asking for as an organization is that our vehicles have been standing from, call it around the 5th or the 6th of March. Give us a rebate in terms of our licenses. We don't need an extension. Extension means nothing to us because if there's no work coming in, these vehicles are still going to be standing up until the market opens up. And that's where we're fighting. We're fighting is to say, give us a refund or give us a hold on our licenses. More so if we can get a refund. A lot of operators can take that refund. If you look on a license, this around 50,000 rand, it's equivalent to 25,000 rand on a vehicle, which we can get back, which we paid in 6 months, and that can keep a lot of the smaller operators to a certain extent in business. And that's all we're asking for, Inayet, is that we're asking for an ear with government to look at our plight. It's not as if we're asking to go and look for 1.5 billion in treasury and give it back. All we're saying is we've paid this money up front. Assist us either by granting us a credit so that next year, hopefully when tourism or the industry improves, we don't have to go and look for money for licenses because it's money that a lot of members don't have. Or alternatively, give us the refund so that we can use that money to keep our businesses alive. You got a major sporting event that's coming up next year around February, March, which is the British Lions Tour, and it's scary that will there be vehicles available to actually support that British Lions Tour if the smaller operators are not around, or is it just going to be big operators that are funded by conglomerates and consortiums and JSE listed companies that will be around to service the needs of those tourists that will be coming in?
Yes, I see there are a number of obviously questions that are coming through on the Facebook page as well. And we know that there has been major concerns, Fiona. Now, from what Mohsin obviously is talking about, the question of licenses, that is obviously one aspect. But how sympathetic has the government been to the plight of private operators or private transport operators, Fiona?
Look, I just want to correct I'm noticing your highlighted tab. Please correct. It's actually the tourist and charter section of the busing and not the entire bus industry. You can't expect the government to intervene with regards to the entire bus industry because a lot of the people are subsidized and have been paid during the lockdown for routes. A substantial amount of money that actually benefited them substantially while the lockdown was going on. So I think it's important to focus and emphasize that it's not the entire bus industry, because they'll just switch off with regards to that. I mean, if they have to go and reimburse everybody, they're not going to be interested. With regard to your question, sir, with regard to has the government been at all sympathetic? Look, as I was trying to mention when we were cut off, in fairness to the Deputy General, he did engage with me. We had a live interview and with his attorneys. And he actually thanked myself for bringing this to his attention that, he's only helping a particular segment in the bus industry with regards to those people whose licenses had expired between the 26th of March and the 30th of August. And I said to him, well, sir, you've given them 6 months. Their licenses have expired during this period. Our licenses are still valid, but we can't work. So we're losing on both fronts. Okay, we've prepaid, the licenses haven't expired, and we paid for commercial use of the roads, and the government has shut us down. So he did engage with me, and he said it shouldn't be a problem to resolve this. And then subsequently, and the reason this is back in the media domain, was a freelance journalist went into a media conference with Minister Moolla in Johannesburg and posed the question to him in front, obviously it was live, and posed the question, Mr. Fikile Mbalula, Minister, why are you ignoring the Private Charter Passenger Association? And he turned around to the journalist and subsequently advised him, no, well, because we engaged with the taxi industry because of the fact that, they are not a body. And rightly so. He's admitted that they are not contributing to the fiscus. He's admitted that half of them are not legal. So why have the government gone and assisted them with 1.2 billion when we are just asking them to give us back what we've paid? So either way, we've lost in every single sector, sir. And we're just trying to fight for our survival. And just lastly there, he says to us, we can apply for banks and loans. Well, all my members cannot apply for government loans or commercial loans because you cannot give them a cash flow. And anybody with half a brain knows that you cannot give a commercial bank a cash flow at the moment, and they've actually been told do not basically engage. It is high risk with the tourism and passenger and aircraft sector at the moment.
Well, thank you for that, Fiona. Mohsin, just where to from here? Mohsin, can you hear me?
Sorry, Inayet, I'm driving at the moment, so I've got you. Yeah, you broke up there, sorry.
No, I just wanted to know where to from here. We've got about a minute or so.
So all we can do is we can hope and we can pray as an industry that we get an ear. We've tried various channels, as Fiona has told you. We've engaged with the DG, we've engaged with the Minister. And we're just hoping that, the Minister of Transport, the Minister of Tourism, at some point sit and realize that the impact or the contribution that us as a private passenger transport industry add to the economy and look beyond, at the moment there's a big drive for local tourism to start happening government minister, Department of Tourism has launched a big drive for local tourism. But the thing is, if we as operators, whether you've got one sprinter or you've got 10 sprinters or a small kumbi, or whether you're operating a large fleet of vehicles, at some point in time you need some support from government as well, because we've been affected just as much as the hotels, just as much as other sectors in the industry. In fact, to a certain extent, we've been impacted more than other sectors purely, and our members are just hoping that we get something back, because a lot of them at the moment are in dire financial strain, and the guys are saying, we need the support so that we don't want to make profits, we just want to keep afloat and have a business to come back to. And it's more so, remember, for any business owner, it's a tough decision when you have to make a call of closing your doors or going into business rescue, etc. But more so, it's the impact of us as an industry if we're not around due to this COVID and no support. It's the amount of families and employees and their families that rely on them having income, which currently all those. Remember, you take a touring driver, for example. He gets his basic salary, he gets his income, and a large chunk also they rely on foreign tourists giving them tips, and all that has been taken away. So
Yes.
I mean, we get drivers daily coming into the office and saying, yes, we qualified drivers. There's no tours for us to do. Can we just get? Yes, government is giving us tours. It's been extended now. Yesterday, I believe the government has now announced they're extending the lockdown for a further 30 days. But the problem is, guys need to support their families. And we just hope and we pray and make dua, inshallah, that somewhere along the line our prayers are answered, and that you look at these operators that are part of our association. It's owner operated businesses, and some of them have been passed down from generation to generation, and it's just heartfelt and to see that some of these operators might not be around.
Mohsin,
we just make dua,
yes,
inshallah, Allah guides us.
Inshallah, Amin, and to Fiona as well, and Mohsin, we thank you for joining us this morning. And just, I see a note to all the viewers and also our listeners to log on to www.pcpa.co.za and to help with the five-star industry of the bus transport industry. Well, that is on our Facebook page as well. We certainly do value your time, both of you, and we thank you for coming on, and all the best to you.
Thank you.
Well, that was a look at the private transport industry, the Private Charter Passenger Association, and also Mohsin Moolla, Managing Director of Eldo, coaches some of the challenges they have been facing as a result of the pandemic and the lockdown.